There is a brand new bill in Pennsylvania looking to regulate the wholesaling real estate industry. And over the course of this weekend and the course of the last week, I have gotten hundreds of DMs talking about this new law. And your guru probably said it is a ban of wholesaling real estate. And really what that means, it's a ban of assignment of contracts. That's what this has been perpetuated to be. And as you know, I'm not a person that is here to brandish fear to you. I'm a person who is just going to show you what's going on and tell you what's happening. I have no agenda for this. Actually, I do. My agenda is to make sure that you actually know the law so you can still wholesale real estate and do assignment of contracts. Now, to let you know this and make this very important, as of this video, there is not one state that has banned the assignment of contract, which is basically wholesaling real estate. I want to make that very clear to anybody who is confused. Wholesaling real estate is not banned in any state in the United States of America. Are we clear here? Are we clear? Okay, good. As long as we understand there's been no states that have banned the assignment of contract, because you would have to ban the Constitution of the United States of America. It ain't gonna happen. And if that does happen, it goes to the Supreme Court, but it hasn't happened. So any video you've seen in the past saying wholesaling is banned, it doesn't work, wholesaling real estate is not banned in any state. The assignment of contract is not banned. Now, the one thing that is changed a little bit is sometimes they like to regulate if you don't have a real estate license. And there are some states I would say that you have to make some slight modifications. Now, if you do have a free wholesaling course, it's called freewholesaling.com. And in every single state in the United States, in all 50 states, now discuss this with a lawyer, but you can, without a license, make money in real estate, specifically with assignment of contracts or double closings or any of these alternative methods. Now, I will tell you this, in freewholesaling.com, I do make this very clear, and I want to make this big disclaimer before I break everything down. I say this very, very carefully. Before you do a wholesaling deal and assignment of contract, you have to have an title company or a closing attorney approve the transaction, because they're doing a lot of the work, the buyer's usually paying for it, and the process goes really smooth. I want you to understand this. I'm not telling you to wholesale real estate without an attorney or without a title company, because if you have a title company, that assignment is going to be under their domain also. And so they are going to be the ones making sure it's legal too, and your closing attorney is going to say that too. Now, to be very clear here, and make this very, very, very clear to you, there are attorneys in the state of Florida that say I do not close on real estate wholesaling transactions. And I've also had personal talks face-to-face with attorneys telling me that wholesaling real estate is illegal. And earlier that morning, I picked up a $50,000 wholesaling check from another real estate attorney. I'm just letting you know, 50% of lawyers are wrong. And so you just gotta understand this. Now, let's kind of break down, give my disclosure here, this new Pennsylvania bill, okay? It's not a law, it's a bill. And I'm making this video not to go talk about every bill, but this is a bill I'm pretty sure it's gonna pass. And so that's why I feel like I have to talk about it. And honestly, I'm personally making this video. I usually don't make videos like this, and I'm posting this on a Sunday, which I never really post on this channel, because I'm gonna get another 100 or maybe 1,000 messages in the next month about this. And what I wanted to do is just make this video and then send it to them so I don't have to explain this 1,000 times. And so what we have here is going to be what we call a bill. And a bill is not legal law, it is just proposed. And this bill is called Senate Bill 1173, and it just passed the Senate, so it has to go through the House. And the thing about this is there's usually amendments that had to be done on this, like we kind of saw in South Carolina. They did have a wholesaling assignment ban pretty much, but they had a last minute amendment to make it legal if you are going to do assignments of contracts without a license. And so wholesaling real estate is completely legal in South Carolina. There are some things working with your attorney you should know about. There are multiple closing attorneys in South Carolina. I am working on getting a list for you, but I mean, I got a list about 30 right now, but the amount of people that want to, let's say, be promoted on the channel, because we have some people who love to tattletale. They don't want to be explicitly out there per se. They'd rather the wholesaler reach out to them because they don't want people tattletaling and trying to get them in trouble, even though they're legally doing what they have to do. A lot of people, I say they do closings, and then somebody goes and calls them and says, hey, real estate commission, go after them, and they say a bunch of lies. So FYI, just call, if you're in South Carolina, attorneys, and you will find good closing attorneys for assignments of contracts, because it's completely legal. We just don't want any of the Karens out here trying to go after them and stop what they're doing, which is legally good. So Pennsylvania Senate Bill 1173. Let's just break down the bill. I'm not a guy that's going to tell you, oh, it's banned, blah, blah, blah. What I'm going to do is let's read this together. We both speak English. Let's break this all down. So this is basically a Real Estate Commission Act, basically an amendment to that in 1980 here, as you can see. And all the links are going to be in the bottom here. But what you have to do is it basically changes what a broker is. And what a real estate agent is they're saying, which is underlined right here, that any person, whether for the person or for another, engages or attempts to engage in a wholesale transaction. What's a wholesale transaction? So it's basically saying if you are doing a wholesale transaction, you have to be a real estate broker. Now, we have to know definitions. Definitions are important here, okay? It's like saying you can't do speeding, right? So like, what's the definition of speeding, right? And that's where it gets in the legalities here. And so it says here on the next end here, residential property. Residential property is real property within its commonwealth, which consists of not less than one or not more than 4 residential dwelling units. Makes good sense here. Wholesale transaction. So this is the part I wanted to share with you. So this little thing right here, okay? Line 11 through 15. A wholesale transaction is the purchase of an equitable interest or other interest in residential property with the intent. So the word intent here, I'm going to highlight that really quickly. This is a very important word. With the intent to assign, sell, or otherwise transfer the interest for a fee, commission, or other valuable monetary consideration without having taken title as the owner of record of the interest. So let's make this very clear. If this was a wholesaling ban, okay, like a ban of wholesaling real estate, what they would do is they would get rid of this word intent and say, if you're somebody that is selling equitable interest in a real estate deal, you are a real estate broker. Boom, done. I mean, it's pretty clear here. You can only do double closings, right? But how these legislators work is they don't want to ban wholesaling because they know they can't. It is illegal to ban wholesaling real estate in general, to do away with you doing assignment of contracts. That goes against the contract clause in the United States Constitution, which I've shown a million times here. You can't do that. It will never get passed. And if you did a law, like let's talk about Maryland. Maryland did a law like this. They got rid of the word intent. And they said if you buy real estate, you have to have a license. Guess what happens? That borders on non-capitalism, which is against the United States of America, and it doesn't pass. Again, Maryland, the bill didn't have the votes and it just got killed. And so they want this to pass to make it seem like a big win. So basically what they did here is they put intent. So they make the realtors happy, they make the gurus happy that are trying to push some crazy course, and they make the wholesalers happy, which basically they give you a little loophole on here, right? It's like, hey, you can't go 70 miles an hour, but you can go 71 miles an hour. You can go 69 miles an hour, 68, right? And so basically what this means is this is the same exact law they have in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is a city, has a specific law about wholesaling real estate, which basically saying if you are a person who intends to only wholesale real estate, you gotta have a license, or what they call a property wholesaler license here. And what they did was basically that type of law they have in Pennsylvania, that type of law they have in Philadelphia, which they've had for a while now. What they're basically saying is let's make this statewide. And the cool part is this law passed over 4 years ago. And so I have a lot of data in the past 4 years of what happens here. And what this law did was it did absolutely nothing, okay? And so basically what this means, if you're a person who intends to rent the property, you're fine. You can wholesale that. You don't have to have a license. You can wholesale. You can do assignments of contracts if your original intent basically was to rent the property out. Or if you're an investor who buys the property and makes improvements to increase resale value. And so basically, if you've ever bought a house, you don't have to have a license. You can do assignments, or if your intention was to rent it. And so what people in Philadelphia did, they said, hey, I am just going to buy this thing myself. I have a little bit of funding here, or maybe I have a partner who is going to go 50-50 and we're going to have a little joint venture here. You can work with the buyer, whatever you want. And they said, you know what, we're going to buy this as a rental property. And then maybe you go back home, right? So after writing the contract, you do some analysis on your computer and say, you know what, I don't want to rent out this property anymore. Maybe I just want to flip it. Oh, this guy's going to offer me $10,000 for just selling my interest to him. I'm going to do that. But my intent was to buy it as a rental, but you know what? He offered me, I'm going to buy another rental and go from there. And if you have funding, or if you have the ability to double close, which you all do at Wholesaling.com, you don't need any money. You circumvent that law because your intention was to just rent the property out, but one thing led to another, right? And so that's the joke here, because in 4 years, there hasn't been one case of somebody actually going after this, or one case of someone saying, well, the intention's wrong. Intention is this, or so that. No, intention was wrong here because they can't ban wholesaling. And so what they basically did was they made it to make everyone feel good, and that's what happened. And so basically what they did here, let's go back here to that Pennsylvania law. That's what they did here. They basically did the same thing. If you intend to assign, then you have to be a broker. But if your intention is not to assign, and then you end up assigning it, then you're fine. And that's it. Now we can go to the breakdown. It says basically, you have the right to cancel the agreement if it ends up being a wholesaler, if you have the business of it. But really, you don't really have to worry about this because your intention is not going to be to assign the contracts anymore. Your intention is going to buy it yourself. And you might be like, Zach, what do you mean my intention is to buy this myself? Well, first and foremost, is going to be to double close or to buy the property yourself. What this means is basically what you have to do is go to your title company, go to a cash buyer, go to your grandma, go to a transactional funding company and whatever you want, and just say, hey, can I get a proof of funds or at least something saying that I can, if the right conditions are met, buy this property cash with your funding? That's all you got to ask. And any transactional company is going to do that. Personally, I will do that for people if it's a good deal because I have millions of dollars in my bank account. Where you, if it's the right deal, I will provide the funding for you, or this company, or this title company help you, or you can double close, right? And basically this means you have the ability, which if some hotshot law enforcement guy wants to say, hey, your intention was never to buy it. You never even had the money in your bank account. Guess what you can say? Yeah, I didn't have the money in my bank account. Grant Cardone, when he buys a $200 million multifamily, he doesn't have the money in his bank account. He gets funding or he raises money for it, right? That's not how real estate investing works for most people. They get mortgages and loans, and Mr. Law Enforcement guy, you didn't have 500 grand to buy your house, right? You put 20 grand down and you financed it. That's how real estate investing is done most of the time, right? What I did was I had a partner who was going to fund it with me, and my intention was to buy it and rent it out, or buy it and fix and flip it. But in real estate, one thing led to another, and after due diligence, there was going to be a lot more work than I thought. And, the seller agreed to the price, and I wanted to keep my commitment. And I just sold my equitable interest to my other partner who was just going to do it because it didn't work for me. And legally, as everything I've seen and talking to many lawyers, that is a great way around it. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. But this is just my opinion on this. And this has been done in Philadelphia for 4 years now, no problem. Your guru's crying right now. They're screaming at the computer saying, wait, oh no. How could they allow the intent to be in the law? Guys, I've seen a million of these laws coming in. There's always been one loophole with each one because they actually can't do it. They're just doing it to make gurus feel good and realtors feel good. You're like, you guys are fine. The fear of this is nothing, right? And in Philadelphia, I haven't had one instance of somebody being enforced with that law because they made it so loosey-goosey, right? It's such a fugazi, it's such a fake type of law that it doesn't really matter. And to this one, it's the same exact way. It's not bad. Now let's break this down because I get all the negative Nancy's saying, oh, Zach, but what if they do an amendment? What if this was a whole ban? Or, what if they say intention is a pattern of wholesaling, right? I get people who plays devil advocate with me all the time. And they say, Zach, intention is when you have a pattern of business where, let's say you haven't closed on a deal this year and you've wholesaled 5 deals. You're not technically intending anymore. You have a pattern in your history. Well, okay, let's do this instead. How about my first deal I ever do? I was going to purchase it rent it out. But you know what? I end up just assigning that one. Now I have 20 grand in my bank. Guess what? Now deal 2, 3, 4, and 5 I just double close. Technically, I'm buying houses. Then the next one I assign. And then I buy houses double closing, right? And the cool part is our 30-day wholesaling challenge and at freewholesaling.com, we actually break down how to do double closings with no money at all. Pretty gangster. And you don't really need any money to do it. And so basically, worst case scenario, if that thing happens where it's like intent is a pattern of business, just your first deal you do, it can technically be an assignment if your intention, is to theoretically double close and then you end up changing it up. You can do that. Or let's say like they do a blanket ban, which is not going to happen with this law. You can do a double closing. You can write it in an LLC, then sell the LLC, which is a little more work than I'm going to say. But as of today, the assignments are completely legal in Pennsylvania. Like I don't see the big fuss on this. I don't see the big fuss in the last South Carolina law because assignments are completely legal and there's going to be zero enforcement, in my opinion, of how you can do this. And I'm still wholesaling in South Carolina. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, do you guys want me to post HUDs in South Carolina, like to show you proof that we're fine? Like, you guys let me know what you want me to do, okay? Because I actually wholesale in Pennsylvania. And so like I look at this, I'm like, this is stupid again. Because every single law I see is stupid. But I make this video not because I know that you guys listen to me and you know that there's been one instance of somebody being attacked for wholesaling houses in the United States of America. There hasn't been one instance. There's no enforcement that can be done with this. But I'm saying this is crazy. We do have our 30-day wholesaling challenge coming out this year in 2024 on July 1st. Like always, stop freaking out. And if you want to know what's going on in your specific state with laws, I do have a whole wholesaling real estate legality worksheet, spreadsheet, video analysis type thing in freewholesaling.com. I always keep it updated so you know exactly what's going on with all the laws, so you know what to do. But at the end of the day, I want to make this very clear. If you have a title company that's okay with it, that have lawyers, and if a closing attorney is a lawyer that's telling you it's good, and you read the laws and you understand it, you're going to be fine. And so at the end of the day, you're good. Stop freaking out. So guys, if you got advice from this video, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. Make sure you go to freewholesaling.com, and I'll see you soon for the 30-day wholesaling challenge. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.